Hey, what's happening, guys? Nick with Classic Nation. Today I'm going to give you a better walkthrough, rather walk around of my 47 Buick Roadmaster Convertible. Stay tuned. All right, so really the big update on the car, as you guys will recall, I bought it a couple of weeks ago, sight unseen, out of Roanoke, Virginia. Wasn't a runner, didn't have a gas tank, was missing a bunch of stuff. It was explained to me that the wiring needed to be redone. And so fast forward to today, actually yesterday, got it running for the first time. I put a new gas tank in the car. Evan came over, my dad came over. We started to try to work on, getting it started. I put a new fuel pump in, still 6-volt system, but put a new fuel pump in, and finally was able to get it to crank. And let me tell you, it runs like a kitten here. I'll show you here in just a few. Let's do a quick walk around so that you guys can see what's going on here. As you'll recall, the body's in pretty good shape. Again, some paint scratches and things, but now that I've got it kind of cleaned off, it shows pretty well, let's just say. The one thing I will admit that I have on order is lowering springs. So if this were about 2 or 3 inches lower, I think I'd be really happy with it. So I'm going with 3-inch lowering springs all the way around. Hopefully that's not too much. We'll see. I'm trying the back first. If it is, I'll go with 2-inch lowering springs, but I just need it to squat down a little more. So lowering springs are on the way. They're on order. The other crazy thing about this car, as I've started to get used to, seeing other pictures of Buicks and doing the research myself, these reverse lights, these are glass bulbs. I had thought they were completely original. I had no reason to believe that they weren't, but they aren't. That's a bulb that was put in, probably a modification done a long time ago, because this is a glass bulb. And this is a glass bulb with a 6-volt light in it. And it didn't come like that. They didn't have reverse lights in the back. In fact, I saw that because in some of the wagons, they had auxiliary reverse lights that they would drill and put on top of this like bumper guard thing. So those are a custom edition that was probably done a long time ago, because they, again, are glass housings. But pretty cool. I actually like the look of those. Besides liking the look of the rear end of this car, man, that really stands out. But I really like the look of those, and when I wire this up, I'm going to get those back into place so that when you put the car in reverse, that works correctly. I also really like these like torpedo looking lights in the back. I'm not sure if those are park lights or if that's part of the turn signal that these go on at the same time. I'm not sure, but I'm going to wire them up. I'll probably put them as park lights and or turn signal lights as well, but I really like that look. You guys will remember the dash is in super good shape on this car. I mean, just absolutely perfect. There is no carpet, so that's something I got to do. And then I'm going to change the color of this interior to black from the green that it is right now. Sorry, I'm going to change it to like a butterscotch or a tan to match the black on the outside of the car, keeping everything else original. I've already cleaned up all the wiring and things in there. So that's all set, but man, just dialed in. The gauges, everything just looks so nice. Everything is in really good shape, and I plan to keep it that way and keep it exactly original. So the one thing that I am going to do on this car is convert it to 12 volt. Now, a lot of people are like, yeah, don't convert it to 12 volt if you don't have to. The one thing for me, and really it's one thing, is I need to have a stereo. I need to have tunes. And so I'm going to keep everything stock looking here, but I need to have tunes and speakers. And so I'll find a way to hide speakers in the front and in the back and potentially even under the seat, because I just love cruising with tunes. It's part of the experience to me. So to do that, I'm going to convert it to 12 volts. I'll get the better starting out of it. I'll get the better reliability. If I ever get a dead battery, it's a lot easier to get somebody to give you a jump on 12 volts out in traffic. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and go get stuck somewhere in a 6-volt car and then try to call a friend and see if they can come jump you with 6 volts. Good luck. So going to be a little bit more reliable, and I just want to drive the car. That's the deal, is I want to be able to really drive this car and enjoy it. And for me, the 12-volt upgrade is going to do the trick. So again, I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it, but I really need to have a stereo in place, especially on a convertible. So the rest of this obviously is in really good shape. The wiring that I had to figure out was a little bit of a pain in the butt. In fact, I've got a wire right here. You can see, if it'll lock on this, you can see how gummed up this wire is. This literally was the wire that it was connected under the dash, and I'm sure that somebody got over their head and didn't know what they were doing And literally this melted wire probably caused somebody to say, hey, I'm done trying to figure this out. This is not going to work. And in fact, that was smart of them to do that, because I purchased the book on this car and the wiring diagram and got it dialed in no time. So, or next to no time. Still, there was a lot to it, but totally worth it, I think, now that it runs. Here's something cool that you may not know, and I didn't know before I bought this car. Let's get inside here. Let's take a peek. You get in here like you're ready to start it, and there is no start button. First off of the key here, as you can see, there is only off and on and lock. So obviously you turn the car to on, and then you look around. There's no foot starter. There's no button starter like a Chevy has of early 50s. And so somebody is like, wait, what? How do you even start an old Buick? Well, it's got a crazy scenario where it's got a foot switch underneath the accelerator down here. Again, underneath this accelerator pedal, there's a foot switch that's also connected to a vacuum switch underneath the carburetor, which is pretty crazy. So what happens is, when the car is in neutral and you turn the key to on, you push your foot on the starter and it starts. And the starter disengages once the car gets vacuum, and it shuts the starter part off. So literally there's nothing to it. And again, I'll show you right here, kind of walk through it. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but here's what I'll do. I've got my foot on the clutch now, and let's see if I can bring you down in here. I'm gonna turn the key to on, and now you can hear my fuel pump running. Now I'm literally just gonna put my foot on the gas pedal. Listen to that. This car is running, it's idling, it is in neutral. Nope, not in neutral, but it will be in neutral in a second. There, it's in neutral, 3 on the tree. I'm gonna step out because I want you guys to hear how this car idles. It's literally in neutral right now. Listen to that. This thing purrs like a kitten. I mean, how lucky did I get that this car runs as smooth as it does? Again, I bought it unknowing how smooth it was going to be, that if the engine even worked. I mean, it wouldn't have been unrealistic to assume that I bought the car and the engine was trashed or it threw a rod or something, but listen to that. You can barely even hear the engine running. This car is sitting here and idling, inline 8-cylinder, 320 cubic inch engine. Had no idea I was going to be able to get it to run, let alone in 2 weeks with what I would consider very minimal work. So it's crazy. I feel like I got a steal of a deal on the car. I mentioned in the first video how much I paid for it. Now that it's running, man, I literally drove this car around the block, down the neighborhood with Evan and my dad 2 days ago when we first started it. But is this crazy or what? There you go. More to come on the Buick. I'll keep you updated on the wiring as that progresses, as I get that dialed in. I'm gonna bleed the brakes and get stuff kind of figured out from that standpoint so that it's more reliable. Eventually I'll get to the interior, but man, I just wanna drive this car and enjoy this car. Listen to that. Runs like a kitten, or like a Swiss watch, as they say. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next video.